All right. NFL halfway through the season.
Yeah, and that was actually one of my favorite weeks of the NFL season so far, especially the 1 o'clock slate. That was insane.
It was a pretty electrifying day. A lot of 3-touchdown scores. The week of the 3-touchdown score. Donta Foreman, Tony Pollard, Alvin Kamara, A.J. Brown, Christian McCaffrey had the triple crown of touchdowns.
That was awesome.
First player since LaDainian Tomlinson, third player all time to do that.
Yeah, it was pretty random.
Yeah.
It was kind of surprising. I guess not really.
It's pretty obviously he's an insane athlete. I mean, we all know that.
Who knew that Kyle Shanahan was actually getting a QB upgrade in the McCaffrey trade?
Exactly.
That was a dime. He threw 40 yards.
It really was.
It was a dot.
Yeah, so the favorites this week, 7-7 against the spread. Again, third week in a row.
A lot of parity.
Home team 6-8 this week, so a losing week for the home teams. I just didn't really think that, this was going to happen for a third week in a row with the favorite.
Yeah, I agree. That's really shocking to me, honestly.
Yeah, it's just 7-7. How does Vegas do it?
They have their finger on the pulse.
So I think we're going to start picking on Sundays 2 favorites, 2 underdogs.
Yeah, try to get ahead of this thing.
As Kevin Hart likes to say, Team Overdog, where you at?
Does he really say that a lot?
Oh, it's in the DraftKings commercial.
Oh,
yes. You're right.
That is, and I know exactly what you're talking
Team
about.
Overdog.
Where we at?
He does love to say that.
Yeah. So pretty standard week in the NFL. The public 1-2 in primetime games, 7-18 on the year. So there are, the public continues to lose. The Bucs couldn't come through on Thursday Night Football. The public is winless on Sunday Night Football through 8 weeks of the season.
That's kind of shocking. How is it even possible?
They're just bad.
Yeah, truly terrible.
The public's bad at what they do.
They're casuals.
The Eagles still undefeated, ran over the Steelers. A.J. Brown was magnificent. Next games, they have the Texans, the Commanders, the Colts, Packers, Titans, Giants, Bears, Cowboys. That's the rest of their schedule.
I mean,
I'm not seeing a lot of losses on that schedule.
Are they going to take their foot off the gas pedal is the question.
The Cowboys game, last game of the season, could not even matter.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
It might matter to Dallas, though.
We can see Gardner.
But I'm saying, they might not play like they're starting.
Right.
They could have locked up the 1 seed by
Gardner
then.
Minshew's going to start.
Because Dallas, I feel like, is really the main team they're contending with for the 1 seed, right?
The Packers are a
winnable
winnable
game
now.
The Vikings, but they already beat them.
Yeah, so
The Packers are a winnable game. Giants, Bears, Cowboys, Texans, Commanders, Colts, all winnable. The only team that could give them trouble, I think, is Tennessee.
I think the Giants are frisky. They give everyone trouble because they keep games close. They play defense.
They're gritty.
They run the ball.
They're a gritty team. It's just
this could be 14-2 though.
Yeah, when are the Eagles gonna lose?
I don't know.
Question.
I don't know.
I guess we'll come back next week and check back on that.
What if they lost to the Texans Thursday night in Houston?
Look, we'll get to that,
The
but
NFL is the NFL.
That would be
These teams
insane.
are good.
we're about ready to talk about the Thursday night game. So why don't we just move into our best straight bets and parlays for this week?
Shall we?
Starting with Thursday night, it is Eagles-Texans. So, obviously no one thinks the Texans are going to win this game, but we have them to cover 14.5. The public, 19% of the public's on the Texans. And obviously there's really no doubt that the Eagles are going to win this football game. This could easily be a 21-point game and the Texans come back with a backdoor cover and just get lucky at the end. I don't think anyone sees this being a close one. But we're going to fade the public.
It's also Thursday night in Houston. That just screams a weird game to me, doesn't it?
Yeah, Dameon Pierce has been a ferocious runner.
Who would have thought that the Browns would destroy the Bengals?
Yeah.
Literally dominate
we
them.
did, apparently.
Yeah.
Jordan Davis is out, so stopping Dameon Pierce, is just going to be a little bit harder with that.
Yeah, and I think the Texans, if they keep the ball on the ground, possess the football, long drives, or not even long drives, because I don't think they're going to drive the field, just like long 3 and outs.
Yeah, I mean, the game just needs to be sloppy. I mean, we kind of saw it on Sunday night with like the Packers and the Bills. Like the Bills were kind of dominating them, but like these games just get weird, especially in prime time. I don't know what it is.
No, it seriously is confusing in prime time. Like it almost seems like the better team loses more times than they win.
And they definitely always lose against the spread.
Right. And they almost always seven times they've been right so far this year.
That's crazy.
So we'll see what happens this Thursday night. Moving on to the Sunday games, we're going to start off with a hammer play. So this hammer play of the day, over 48.5, Chargers, Falcons. Only 10% of the public is on this. Just as we thought at the beginning of the year, the Falcons are the 1 seed in the NFC South through week 8. Just as everyone.
If you want to talk about a frisky team, the Falcons are a frisky team.
Yeah. I mean, their defense has allowed over 1,000 yards in the last 2 weeks combined. This is a really good matchup for the Falcons offense, who likes to run the ball a lot. The Chargers have allowed over 200 rushing yards in each of their last 2 games. So, the game's indoors, weather's not a factor. You can expect a shootout in this one.
Yeah, I mean, this feels like a shootout. I can't believe only 10% of the public is on this.
Yeah.
Like, why?
Because I don't think people believe in the Falcons offense. They put up 17 a few weeks ago against the Bengals. It wasn't really a high-scoring game against the Falcons, and they needed overtime for that one.
Yeah. I mean, against the
Panthers, sorry.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, but I agree. Like, I think the Chargers offense, like, they have a good recipe to dominate this Falcons defense.
Yeah, I mean,
and the Falcons can
atrocious.
The Falcons can run the ball.
Right.
Hopefully they just don't grind the game away.
The Chargers coming off the bye too.
Yeah.
It does look like Keenan Allen is going to be a little banged up. He said his hamstring is not getting better. So look for that.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, so Josh Palmer, fantasy owners.
Yeah.
To
the moon. So we're actually going to go from our hammer play to a scary selection. This week's scary selection, Colts plus 5.5 in New England. 49% of the public is on this. I mean, I'm going to go on a little rant here about what happened last week in the Colts game. Like, Sam Ehlinger was good, 17 for 23, 201 passing yards, sprinkled in a little 15 rushing yards for us there on some design carries. But the offense, just could not finish drives again, had to settle for 3 field goals. And I don't think Frank Reich is getting enough blame for the decision to kick. The Colts had 4th and 3 on the Washington 21 on their first drive of the second half and kicked a field goal. The Commanders, I was about to say Redskins, the Commanders got stuffed on their first drive of the second half. And so the Colts could have built some momentum with the touchdown there, taking the lead 10-7. They were down 7-3 going into the half. And then later in that quarter, they had 4th and goal from the 2 and kicked again.
It just shows no trust in your quarterback. And I think, give the guy a chance. He's been waiting for so long to get his chance. Let him show what he can do.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's really just do not trust your team to get 3 yards.
And it's like, what do you have to lose?
Right. I mean, exactly.
You're
probably going to get fired no matter what. You might as well just try to win at this point.
Yeah.
Do your best.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Horrible play calling too on 3rd down. Running the ball 3 times.
It's scripted too. It's just obvious what they're doing. Especially when it totally depends on the formation they run. When they bring in the jumbo set, they're obviously trying to run the ball.
Right. I mean, Ehlinger does add a little bit of movement.
They didn't use it enough.
They didn't. 6 carries.
Yeah, he should have been utilized a lot more.
Right. I think that's going to happen a little bit more this week, which is why we like the Colts. But it is a scary selection because the offense is just bad. The offensive coordinator was fired on Monday.
That could give a little
Frank
spark.
Reich.
Jim Irsay was very sorry about that.
He did not like to do that.
Frank Reich is taking over play calling duties for the rest of the season.
Was he not calling plays?
No.
I thought he was calling plays this whole time. So what's he been doing?
He's head coach.
So he's just
he's head coach.
What is a head coach?
He's just cheering the guys on.
I don't think
bad decisions.
He's offensive coordinating and calling plays for the rest of the season.
That's a desperate move.
So Frank
That's a
Reich,
desperate move.
He
I mean, what do you think about the Patriots? You haven't even mentioned them.
Yeah, I think, they're coming off a division win against the Jets. It seems like a little bit of what could be a letdown week for them coming back home after the division win.
Yeah.
They're really just like not that great of a football team. They're just very well coached.
Their offense is bad. Their defense is pretty good.
It feels like they're a better version of the Colts.
And although Sam Ellinger hasn't shown us much, I do not think he's throwing those 2 interceptions that Zach Wilson threw.
That's true. He's a little more clean in the pocket.
Ellinger only turned the ball over once. It was on a fumble, classic Colts quarterback move.
He can also fade pretty well.
No interceptions.
He's a little slippery.
17 for 23 is pretty good. No interceptions, over 200 yards. Like, he played well. I just don't think Frank Reich trusted him enough to go for it on 4th down or take risks down the field,
which is annoying.
And if you don't trust him to do that, then why is he in the game?
Why would you start him?
Yeah, just play Matt Ryan.
Yeah.
All right. So moving on to the GOAT, Tom Brady.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he's got to win at some point.
It's about that time he gets a win.
We got the money line. Both of these teams are really, really struggling right now. The Bucs have lost 5 of 6. The Rams have lost 3 of 4. But the Rams have really bad offensive line problems. I think they need to poach Andrew Whitworth back from the Amazon Prime set.
You think he's still ready to go?
He's better than what they're throwing out there. But Cooper Kupp's also banged up this week. The Rams' offense just looks really troublesome. Neither team can really run the football right now, but the Bucs are just more healthy on the offensive side.
Yeah, they have the little mini bye.
Yeah,
I like that. I like the mini bye. I mean, it
10
just
days off.
Yeah, like Brady's had time to rest. He's
think about what's going on in his life.
Yeah, maybe outside of football, and just kind of get mentally ready for this next game.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
get his mind right.
But the thing is, people are like killing the Bucs, and their only issue is just that they're bad at scoring touchdowns.
I mean, but that's an issue.
No, it's a big issue. It's a big problem, right. But like they can still move the ball up and down the field, and they still have good players. So like there's still, when I watch them play, yes, like I'm not like, wow, they look really good, but I'm also not like they look hopeless.
That's fair.
Sometimes with the Rams, like when they were playing the Niners, it looked like they looked actually hopeless.
Right.
They looked hopeless against the Panthers, but like they've been keeping games close.
I will say
they missed a couple
parts of the Ravens game last Thursday night. It literally seemed like the Bucs just had no chance to come back in that game. Like towards the end of the third into the fourth quarter,
their defense has been bad. That's honestly been kind of surprising.
I just really didn't seem it really like game flow wise. I did not feel like the Bucs had any chance at the end of the game.
Yeah, but like I'm just. That's fair. I don't know. It just feels like they might just have a little bit more left in the tank than the Rams right now. Like the Rams look like they're kind of running on fumes.
Well, they have more, weapons outside. I know Cooper Kupp is the best receiver in the NFL, but he's playing hurt. Godwin.
He's been playing better. Allen Robinson's actually been playing better.
And as I said, it's about time they get Gronk on the phone.
I don't know what he's doing.
I don't remember who was talking about it on NFL Network, but I was watching the trade deadline coverage, and somebody was like, "What do the Bucs need to do at the deadline? They need to get Gronk on the phone. And if he says he doesn't want to practice, fine. If he says he wants to do X, Y, and Z, fine. Yeah. Get him on the field for Tom Brady because he needs more guys that he can trust out there. That he is that unspoken chemistry.
At this point, even as a decoy, that's fine. Like,
I mean, but he's not a decoy. Like he's just playing the red zone. Yeah. It would be worth it.
I agree.
I mean, they have to get into the red zone.
But that's what I'm saying. They can do that. They get to the red zone. They just kick field goals. They had Gronk, you just insert Gronk, bang, 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 touchdown.
Ryan sucked.
Yeah. So another, touchdown machine. We actually have a technical difficulty here, so we're going to get that fixed real quick. But the Sunday night game this week is Titans-Chiefs in Kansas City. The Titans coming off 5 straight wins, and the Chiefs have obviously been one of the best teams in the NFL so far this season. What do we think about this game?
I think the Titans do have the formula to beat the Chiefs. Run the ball and play defense. Like if Mahomes doesn't have the ball, you have a chance.
Right.
But they threw the ball 6 times last week with Malik Willis. 6. You only need
the Patriots.
You barely need 2 hands.
You gotta trust your quarterback. Let him
6 passes. I mean, they won, but like, why?
I mean, to be fair, we do have the Titans this week at plus 12.5. I mean, they've won 5 in a row after losing their first 2 games since they got blown out at Buffalo. They've been rolling, and the Chiefs don't really have.
They don't have a King Henry stop.
No, they don't.
no
so
one
it'll
does.
be interesting to do it'll be interesting to see what the Titans do to stop Mahomes. But I think Derrick Henry is the most powerful weapon on either team. Outside
I don't
Mahomes.
agree with that. I was about to say Mahomes.
Right, but I mean, like,
but it's
position
12 and a
player,
half. Yeah,
position
but,
player.
but that's what I will say. Like, that's why I like 12 and a half, because even if they might not be able to win this game, like if they just run the ball and slow it down, like they can at least keep it close.
Right.
You know, it's primetime game. Like these games tend to be weird. Like we said, like the Packers did not look like they were even competing with the Bills at points in the game, and they still covered.
Yeah. It's true. The primetime games always have a really weird script to them.
Mm-hmm.
Monday Night Football is going to be another interesting one. We have the Ravens, another primetime game coming off their extended mini bye.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they have 11 days.
Yeah.
The Saints have 8 days leading up to this game. So both teams kind of on the mini bye.
No, just the Ravens.
Well, I mean,
mini bye is not on the Monday night.
No.
It's Thursday.
One extra day.
It's Thursday night, and then the next week.
So it's 2 extra days constitutes a mini bye.
Yeah.
Not one extra day.
Thursday
one extra day is just that's a aberration.
It's a Thursday night game after.
That's a fluke.
So fair enough. So I mean, I think
if you play a Thursday night game and then get your bye, that's a super bye.
That is a super bye.
Thursday night game
plus a bye.
That's the super.
That's
bye.
a super bye. Super
bye.
Bye.
Wow, the super bye.
I don't know if that's actually.
I don't know if that's a thing, but I think that's a super.
That would be weird to play a Thursday night game and then get a full bye week after that.
Yeah,
that would be funny though.
You would have to get it. Like,
it's almost too much.
When would you want to do that? Even like
like week 10, 11.
Yeah, but you just
like around now.
You just like sacrifice your body, your like team.
No,
you're also like away from your team for that long. I feel like you're gonna lose a step or two.
I mean, I'm sure they're practicing.
Yeah,
during the bye.
Yeah, so we have the Ravens in this one. 49% of the public, as we said, they're on the mini bye, and I think it is going to be an entertaining game. It's just the Ravens are the better team here.
They're getting back to Ravens football.
They just added Roquan Smith,
Deshaun Jackson.
Jackson.
Yes.
Lamar's running routes out there.
Oh, yes, I did.
Yeah, Lamar's begging for a receiver, and what do? They add Roquan.
They got Deshaun Jackson.
They had an off-ball linebacker.
Yeah. Yes. But that will help their team a lot.
No, definitely. I mean, the defense is going to be more legit now.
But there is the issue of Bateman. Did you guys hear the news?
Yeah.
He's going to be out at least a couple of weeks.
Mark Andrews got banged up. I mean,
he's maybe to play this week, but they have a bye next week.
Oh, wow. News out of Miami. GM Chris Greer says Dolphins will be extending newly acquired Bradley Chubb.
Oh,
get
wow.
the Chubb in there.
Wow. We didn't even really cover a lot of the trade.
Yes.
I mean, it's just there's a lot to – you can't bet on who's going to get traded, so.
But we should still talk about it.
I mean, we could, I guess, in theory. Naeem Hines gets traded to the Bills.
That was, I mean, that'll be somewhat
Chase
important.
Claypool to the Bears.
That'll be good long term.
William Jackson to the Steelers.
Well, you're bearing the lead, Bradley Chubb.
Bradley Chubb, obviously, to
the
Dolphins. Chase Edmonds to the Broncos.
Jeff Wilson to the Dolphins.
Jeff Wilson
that was weird. Why do you think they needed
Zach Moss to the Colts?
Kadarius Toney to the Chiefs.
Happened.
That was a bit ago, but that did kind of start things off a little bit.
Well, there were 10 deals.
Yeah, I mean, I guess McCaffrey started all off going to the Niners,
right.
Which is kind of funny that they were able to trade Jeff Wilson for like a 4th rounder. So they basically, flipped McCaffrey for like they switched out their starting running backs,
right?
And like it cost them I think a 3rd round pick.
Yeah, and I think like a 7th.
Yeah,
like in theory,
that's a pretty good deal for them.
Absolutely,
that's respectable.
Yeah, I mean the trade deadline was good this year. It was fun to watch too.
Yeah, but back to the Ravens, I do think they are getting back on track. I don't know, like last week, they were running the ball. Lamar was running the ball a little bit. Even if Andrews gets hurt, their backup tight end is pretty good. Isaiah Likely, that guy is he's good.
Yeah, I mean the Ravens have blown those 3 10-point leads this year. So in the Bucks game, it was like, all right, they're up by 10. Are they really about to blow another 10?
And they didn't, lead? And they were able to do it.
Right,
they were able to hold on. The week before that, they were able to hold on as well, right?
Yeah.
So they're learning how to do it a little bit.
Saints, I mean, They play good defense. That's about it.
I mean, the Saints
We'll see
looked
what
good
Jameis-
last week, but
We'll
it's
see what
like
Jameis has
they
to
look-
do.
is he playing?
I think he might be playing.
How do you bench Dalton though after you beat someone 24-0?
It's up to them.
That's tough.
Yeah. No, it's a weird spot. Like, you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? They literally destroyed the Raiders.
I mean, the defense was just hounding them from the start, it felt like.
I mean, Taysom and Kamara are two of the most electric players in the league.
Yeah.
That's true.
I mean, they're the two of the better runners in the league.
Yeah.
Taysom Hill,
And they're not on the
they
field
give him
together.
they give him 10 touches
Yeah.
a game. It's
They're not on the
crazy.
field together when it happens, though. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, they take touches from each other.
But that's like their whole offense.
Yeah.
Like Mike Thomas is retired, I think.
Yeah. I don't know what he's doing. I don't know if he's going to be hurt again or what's up.
He's
with
still
that.
hurt. He's still hurt.
All right, so moving on to the parlays this week. First, we got the easy money lay,
Mhm.
which hasn't been so easy. 0 for 8.
No, I thought you got it one week. I think you got it last.
No, I
the
don't
week
think
before
I
that.
don't think I hit the easy money lay ever. I'm checking the history right now.
I think
Last
you
week's
have it.
last week's easy money lay
No, last week it didn't hit.
definitely didn't hit last week because I had the Bengals, Vikings, and Chargers, and the Bengals got blown.
Lost.
Oh no, wait, that's this week.
Yeah.
Bengals, Vikings, and Chargers.
Let me find the one from last week.
That's this week's easy money parlay.
Just a little teaser.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last week it was Eagles, Cowboys, Vikings, and it hit.
It did hit.
Yes.
Easy.
That was easy. That was easy.
Oh.
That was easy.
See, it had been so bad that I kind of just like,
Assumed it wasn't gonna hit.
yeah.
All right, so yeah, it's going to hit this week too.
Yeah.
The week before it really did not hit though. It included
Oh,
the
right.
Packers and the Bucks when they
Who
both flopped. And like against the Commanders and the Panthers.
All right,
Two
that
excellent
one wasn't
quarterbacks.
good. That one wasn't.
But
good.
forget
That
that.
one wasn't
Forget that. Forget that.
All right, so this week we have the Bengals, the Vikings, the Chargers, all very winnable games for these guys.
I'm not gonna lie, I kind of hate the Vikings and the Chargers picks.
How do you hate the Vikings?
Commanders are hot.
The
Why?
Commanders-
I don't understand how the Vikings keep winning. It's like they try to lose the games, and then the other teams are playing. They're like, "No thanks,
Right.
I don't want it. I don't want the win. You guys
The
take it
Falcons are
back."
frisky. I mean, it's tough.
Well, the Falcons are going to beat the Chargers.
No,
Chargers are kind of washed this year.
No.
The Falcons are going to run over
The Chargers are coming off the bye here.
Okay, that's a good point. Off the bye is important. That gives
Okay.
them some fresh legs.
The Vikings are, one loss team, pretty solid. The Panthers just came off really tough loss. The Bengals came off a really
I think the Bengals are
tougher
safe.
loss.
Yeah, I think the Bengals are
Tougher
safe.
loss. So I like this easy money parlay. But what I like even more this week, somehow, is this week's Hungry Dogs parlay. The Hungry Dogs lay. Jets money line at home against the Bills. Titans money line in Kansas City against the Chiefs.
Uh-huh.
And Saints money line. It says against the Saints, but that can't be right.
It's against the Ravens.
It's against the Ravens. So the Hungry Dogs.
So it is
parlay-
confusing because you just did bet on the Ravens -3.
Yeah, I know, but sometimes
You gotta sprinkle it both ways.
you got to sprinkle it both ways, and sometimes Hungry Dogs just run that much
They
faster.
just run faster.
Yeah.
Okay, and I don't know.
Just gonna need that to happen every time that word is said.
Yeah.
What word?
Don't say it.
Hundred dogs
Hungry
run faster.
So it is, yes, it can be confusing. What I'm honestly expecting to happen is for this Ravens -3 pick to change into the public's favor by Monday night. And so I kind of have this Saints money line because
Just in your back pocket.
it's
It's
just
like a
there.
reverse seared
And,
steak.
and look, if somehow we get the Jets and Titans winning on Sunday and Sunday night, and we
Yeah.
actually end up at the Saints having the
It'll
Saints
be a great
game
hedge
being
spot.
relevant, yeah, it will be a really good hedge spot at plus 6,420. So I think this Hungry Dogs lay.
Anything is possible.
Right. I just don't. I mean, probably not this, but
I mean, it could happen.
It could. I hit a Hungry Dogs lay earlier,
and it was crazy, and it included the Colts beating the Chiefs.
Yeah,
and they did that. The
right.
same Colts,
yeah,
who can't beat the Commanders at home.
I'm convinced that the Chiefs struggle against the AFC South.
It's their kryptonite.
Okay, it's the kryptonite, and I think, for some reason, the Jets.
You just like them this week.
I hate the Jets, but I not this week.
Not this week. Not this week.
No.
Not this
Jets
week.
after
16 weeks out of the year, you hate them, but not this week.
I saw Zach Wilson go out there and throw two of the worst interceptions I've ever seen.
Did you hear what he said after the game?
And I was like, I need to pick them this week.
Yeah. Well, after the game, he was basically like, yeah, like I was thinking about my performance, and what I realized is that I was just getting really bored and annoyed throwing the ball out of bounds like 15 times. It's like sometimes I just like want to make a play, and I was just like forcing it, and I got to be better about that.
That's just,
I think
so. He's just bored. So he's just bored. He just gets bored tossing it out of bounds. He's like, all right, might as well just chuck one up here.
Yeah, I think his receivers just need to do a better job getting open than maybe. Elijah Moore said in his post-game press conference that he's always open.
Did he actually say that?
He said, how do you feel your chemistry is with Zach Wilson on field? He goes, I don't know. I don't get the ball.
I'm always open.
Yeah.
Yeah. Elijah Moore was really good last year. What happened?
So was Kadarius Toney.
Kadarius Tony's going to be good on the Chiefs.
Yeah, it'll be
it's
a nice little pickup.
I don't think that Andy Reid's going to
I don't know how to use him.
He's not going to have any trouble figuring out how to get that guy the ball in space.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I picked him up on my fantasy team.
Nice.
Tony?
Yeah.
You won the race?
Oh, yeah.
That's solid.
Yeah.
So moving on to the same game parlays. Last week was not particularly good. I went 1-4.
No, you went 1-3.
Or 1-3. Brings it to 20-18 on the year. So not something to be proud of. We're going to make it back this week with starting Dolphins plus 5.5 in Chicago, over 39.5 for this game. Bet. I think the Bears offense just put up numbers against a really great Cowboys defense.
It's crazy to think about.
Their Bears
offense is the focal point of this game.
Yeah.
And now they just added Claypool. We'll see how much action he gets this week. Probably limited. But the Dolphins are absolutely covering 5.5, and they could maybe put up over 40 points themselves. The Bears traded away their best two defenders.
Yeah.
So I really like the Dolphins to win this game, but plus 5.5, we're going to take it for some cushion.
Well, how many losses do you think the Dolphins have while Tua has been starting this year?
0. So it's not going to happen against the Bears in Fields. So moving on to the next same game parlay, we got the Jags.
Wait, back up.
Backing up.
Do we have a temperature check for this game? Is bear weather in effect?
Is bear weather in effect?
And are Dolphins wearing like candy-ass uniforms? Yeah. Because that does not play when it's like 35 and really cold.
Either rainy, cold.
Yeah.
All right. So Soldier Field on Sunday. High of 64.
Okay. Not bear weather.
Right,
not bear weather.
Dolphins are going to run.
Dolphins are in play.
And the high is going to be hit at 1:00.
Oh, perfect. It might as well be Miami Beach.
So Dolphins plus 5.5. We'll call that a nice one right there. Then moving on to Jags. You saw it for a second earlier. Plus 11.5 against the struggling Raiders. Over 57.5. That's got to be the under. That's likely a typo. That's my bad right there. The under 57.5.
Oh wow. Okay, that makes more sense
because this over 57.5 odds
that'd be insane.
Miraculous odds right there.
Yeah.
Because that game has an absolutely 0% chance of hitting this over 57.5.
It's
the
pretty
Raiders
clear
put up 0 last week,
but
you think pretty incompetent. I think McDaniels.
But they were just cooking.
Jimmy just cut Chiefs. Derek Carr from his fantasy team.
I did.
Would you fire Josh McDaniel right now?
No.
Like he's a bad head coach.
Yeah.
Like
history.
Because he cheated. If you remember, he's cheated at the start of his time when he was with the Broncos when they were undefeated, and then after that they were kind of not good.
They were bad. And he got fired.
He's been he's 6-20 since that.
It's awful.
It's insane.
I mean, that's.
But but they'll probably they'll get a little bit more on track. But
maybe they'll
the
get some momentum.
But the Jags look good, especially with ETN. I like how ETN
ETN's
runs
a good running back. Absolutely.
If they just feed him the ball, they're going to do better.
Yeah. I think that's what they should do.
100%.
Yeah.
So then we got the Bengals money line at home against the Panthers, and the over 32.5 for this game. Both these defenses seem to be banged up.
Mm-hmm.
The Bengals offense was fine until they weren't fine, and then they were fine again.
Losing Jamar.
I'm saying like they were fine a few weeks ago, and then they lost Jamar. And
they were good
fine.
a couple of weeks ago.
And then in
against
the
Saints.
fourth quarter,
Yeah.
they kind of looked fine again. So maybe that momentum can carry over against a Panthers team that is, playing some hot football right now. At 3-5.
This feels like kind of like a somewhat of a slow game to start, and then like second half they'll hit the over pretty easily. And
like last
Bengals
week's
pretty
Bengals
dominant.
Yeah, and I definitely will say like the Panthers are a lot more frisky than I think a lot of people give them credit for, and like we all thought they were going to be.
Right.
But they're still not.
They're still a bottom feeder.
And they were still allowing like the Falcons to torture.
I mean, the Falcons-Panthers game was electrifying last week, but I think in the grand scheme of this season, no one thinks that game is going to end up being relevant.
Yeah, I would be.
It was for the division lead at
Yeah.
the time. Cool, both the fan bases can get excited about it. The Buccaneers or Saints are winning the division.
Probably
I mean,
the
the
Buccaneers.
Saints
Likely
are
the
the
Bucks.
Saints, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I like the Bengals. Like you said, like they need to bounce back after they got smoked by the Browns, and I think they're going to work the ball a lot more to T. Higgins. Like just their offense is going to look
quick
better.
throws because they can't protect Burrow.
Yeah, and I don't think they're going to have as big of an issue with protecting him against the Panthers.
Right.
Their pass rush is a little less dangerous than Jadeveon Clowney and Myles Garrett.
Yeah.
Also,
absolutely.
Myles Garrett Halloween costume Vecna. That was pretty good.
Yeah,
that was pretty good.
It was
And then he was playing pretty well on Monday night. Like that was fun.
Yeah.
I like that.
He's a dog.
So player props for this week. Last week, you finally had the comeback week.
Yes.
We were waiting to make up for the 1-11 week.
We started off 11-1, cooled off, ended up being 12-4. But you see right there, year to date, 54-54. That's called 500, baby. That's consistency.
You're officially back.
Halfway through the season, and I'm 500.
So we're going to start off with the passing
gotta go
yards.
green.
Yeah.
Tim Brady is a classic pick of yours.
See, he's one of my favorites.
Over 275.5 yards.
So
Why?
okay. So 2 weeks ago, I was like, Tom Brady's line is pretty low, and he's still passing for a lot of yards. Let's bet on this. And then he hit it.
It's still pretty low.
And then it stayed the same. And then I was like, now he's playing the Ravens. Let's bet it again. And then he hit it again.
He hit it again.
And then this week, I was like, it's hit 2 weeks in a row. There's no way they're going to lower it, right? They lowered it by 5 yards.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to keep betting this until the Bucks win or it stops hitting. Because I don't understand what's going on. He's averaging 283 yards on the season. The Rams defense has been very, mediocre up and down, especially as of late.
Right. They have Jalen Ramsey, but that's,
But even Jalen Ramsey hasn't been as locked down as he's been in the past. And like we mentioned with the Bucks pick, Brady is beyond upset. I mean, he's about to lose his mind, right?
Yeah.
Like he needs to have a big game here. And PFF has him projected at 312 yards this week.
Oh, wow.
So they think he's going to blow them out of the water. He's the highest projected quarterback this week.
Oh, wow.
So I don't understand why the line went down by 5 yards.
So maybe Vegas knows something.
Yeah.
They always know something.
But it's the mini buy, too. There's so many factors. There's so many factors working for Brady here.
Brady with the mini buy plays Sunday. What does that give the Ravens who play Monday?
An extended mini buy.
An extended mini
Yes.
buy.
Yes.
The Ravens with the classic, of course,
And
extended mini buy.
If this were like a Christmas situation and they had to play on Saturday, that would not be a mini buy anymore.
It would
It
be
would just be a week.
a regular week.
Yeah.
Like playing on Monday
It
night.
would be a mini short week.
I don't know. I think it'd just be a regular
It would
week.
just be a week.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're not doing mini short weeks.
No.
Well, what's a mini short week?
I don't know what that would
Short week is
It was a normal
Sunday.
week.
Sunday to Thursday
I
is a
guess.
short week.
A mini short week
Shorter
would be
week.
like one Monday to Tuesday.
Yeah, that would be insane.
yes, that'd be very short.
Yeah. But yeah, Tom Brady, he's going to hit this
Tim
again.
Brady.
I'm going to keep betting this. I actually don't understand why people are disrespecting him
I don't either. But you know who else is getting disrespected? Geno Smith.
He's writing
though.
He's
Yeah,
writing.
back.
He's writing back right now.
He's writing back now.
I think this is the story he's writing. It says
So I actually didn't understand the whole.
I don't get it at all.
He didn't write back thing. Like
they wrote him off. He didn't write back.
No, I almost think it would make more sense for it to be like they wrote me off. All right, now I'm writing back.
It's his comeback story. He's writing.
All right, screw you guys.
Yeah.
I'm gonna write
my own story.
Right, exactly. But he's not writing anything. He's gonna write his way into the.
He's gonna write his way into the playoffs.
Right, like the I didn't write back thing would make sense if he was sucking.
Yeah,
because he didn't write them back.
But I don't think he expected himself to not suck this much. Like he's good.
Well, I think he meant
he's good on accident.
I think he meant to say, they wrote me off and I'm writing back.
Yeah, but it is crazy. Like when he was drafted to be like this quarterback.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
it's stunning.
It shows how the Jets ruined quarterbacks.
He needed to develop for 7
years. That's insane. That's like, is that even like possible?
Have you seen anything like this? No.
Derek Carr. He had a 7-year bump. You remember that when he had that MVP season?
Yeah.
Derek Carr was drafted after him.
It was like a 5-year. It was like some late. He randomly got good for 1 year. Now I think he probably. Now that I'm thinking about it, he's probably taking steroids.
No.
You don't think so? No. Okay, but back to Geno Smith. So Cardinals' pass defense is bottom 10 in the league. Kirk Cousins was just cooking him last week. Geno's averaging 240 yards on the season. And DK and Lockett were banged up and questionable going into last week. So they're a full week healthier.
Yeah.
So,
they are.
His weapons are going to be a little bit more reliable.
And D-Eskridge.
Sure, and D-Eskridge. And Goodwin.
No.
Goodwin.
The announcers always say D-Eskridge. I'm like, dude, I'm pretty sure it's Dwayne.
I don't know.
Interesting.
I don't even know who that is.
Yeah.
But then Geno hasn't gotten this in 3 weeks. So I think he is due to, have a little bit of a bigger game. And just in general, I think the Seahawks offense is pretty much going to, cook the Cardinals as everyone has been. And PFF has him projected at 271 yards. So a full 50 yards over his line.
Yeah, that's a pretty solid bet there.
Yeah, feels like that one's a good one to lock in.
Yeah, so how about another one to lock in right here?
This one's easy.
Patty.
This one is easy. We have been talking at length about buys and mini buys, and this is another player coming off of a buy.
Yes.
We're going to be seeing a lot of this in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, and so the Titans' run defense is actually pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Their pass defense is actually horrible.
Right.
And the only team that hasn't torched them was really the Texans last week, and that's because they had like 100 total yards in offense. So Mahomes is not going to do that. He is averaging 308 yards a game. He's coming off the bye. All the weapons are healthy. Like
the normal bye.
Yeah. All of their offensive players basically are healthy. I can't really think of one.
Well, Andy Reid said they're going to ease Tony into the offense, and he's not going to play that much this weekend. But I really don't think that even matters.
But that doesn't mean anything. Like he told us that Pacheco was starting, and then he gave the most carries to Clyde, and then the most snaps to Jarrett McKinnon. So Kadarius Toney could have an extensive.
Pacheco did start.
He did start, and then
he played like 20% of the snaps.
He got the least amount of carries and snaps.
Yeah,
right. But he started.
But he did start. Whatever. But basically,
he's just a troll.
There's a lot going on with the Chiefs, but they have a million good players, and they're all healthy somehow. I think Mahomes is gonna, cook coming off the bye. To me, this is it's a reset for him. It's like week 1 again.
It's fair.
And he always goes off.
With the bye.
Yeah. And PFF has him at 295, so that's a nice 25-yard cushion.
Yeah. So moving from what could be a lock to your scary selection for this week's player props.
Yeah. And some people might not think this one's scary, but I do. Because Aaron Rodgers is washed and he sucks. And he should be in prison. But Detroit has literally, I don't know how, but their defense gets worse every time I watch them. Like every time I see them do something good, I'm like, no.
I felt like they started off with so much potential, even though they gave up 48 in that first game. And then it just has gone downhill.
Downhill. The Dolphins looked like they were playing 7-on-7 football last week. Tyreek Hill had 185 yards, Jalen Waddle 100 plus yards, 2 TDs. I don't think it's crazy to say that Rodgers owns the Lions in a similar way to how he owns the Bears.
He just owns the NFC.
He owns that division, and
Yeah.
if they're ever going to bounce back, you got to think it's right here, right?
Yeah.
Like this is like a double, triple bounce back, get right, must win game, like all of them mixed together. Every cliche ever, like they need this game. If they lose this game, the season's over.
Right. I was going to say, if the Lions win this game somehow, I think we might see some love.
Jordan?
Oh, wow. That's a bold
Jordan
take.
Love?
Some Jordan Love.
Yeah.
Take.
I don't know.
Because at that point, your team is not good enough to win with Aaron Rodgers. Why not just chalk it up and rebuild and throw him on the market?
I don't know. I don't even really. I can't comprehend that thought because of everything they just went through to re-sign him. Like that's just insane.
I get that, but I think
it's a dumpster fire, dude.
Yeah.
It's close to it.
If they lose this game to the Lions, it's one of two things: the start of their Super Bowl tape, or the end of the Aaron Rodgers era in Green Bay.
Yeah, and so basically, based on everything we just said, I think he's bouncing back here. PFF has him projected at 282.5 yards, so good 40 yards over his line. This is his last chance.
Yeah.
If he doesn't hit this, I'm never betting on him again this year. I don't care what his line is. Like, don't let me do it. Hold me to that.
Fair enough.
Except for you can let me bet on his under.
All right, so moving over to the rushing yards now. Starting with the feature back in Miami.
Well, maybe not for long because they just acquired Jeff
Wilson,
Wilson, who is just
the Niners have just transferred their backfield to Miami. Like Mostert was a Niner last year. Wilson was a Niner last year. They're both now Dolphins with Josh McDaniel.
We know Mike McDaniel.
No, Mike McDaniel.
Yes.
Do you think that Shanahan is like annoyed that Mike McDaniel has way better players than him?
I actually don't.
But now their players are kind of
probably
even
why I got
actually.
McCaffrey,
Debo, and
Debo,
Kittle. I guess that is kind of similar.
Yeah, they're very similar.
But they're kind of almost like colluding.
Yeah,
Like-
in a sense, yeah.
I don't know if there is collusion in the NFL.
If there is collusion, it would be
Like,
between
you're allowed
teams.
to collude.
I don't
You could
think-
be like, hey, but this will help us both out. Why don't we do it?
Oh yeah, but like you can't be like working together.
I don't think
So-
they're working together.
That's what I'm saying. If there were going to be two teams to do it, these two teams on opposite sides of the league who kind of like never play each other and have nothing to do with each other, be a good way to do it.
Yeah, it would be one thing if like McCaffrey came from Miami also.
Yeah, I know.
That'd be
Yeah.
interesting.
Okay.
But basically getting back to Mostert here, he's still got the job for one more week, and they got rid of Edmonds, so I think he's going to get a bunch of carries this week, and more importantly, he's playing the Bears.
Bears get torched by it.
Yeah. Everybody. Tony Pollard last week. There's a whole long list of players that could torch the Bears, and I think Mostert is the next guy to do it. He's averaging 56.5 yards on the year, so he's been actually, getting pretty good volume here, and PFF has him at 59.9 yards this week. So really, I'll take his line up to 55 yards when it comes out. If it's above that, I'll probably stay away. But I think it'll probably be around 50, and to me, that seems like a nice spot to play.
Yeah. No,
Absolutely.
I agree. So moving on to the next rusher,
Mm-hmm.
Ken Walker, the new easily rookie of the year favorite for offense.
You think so?
In the NFC.
Yeah. I mean, does Etienne count as a rookie?
I think so.
Is that
He didn't play last
That's
year.
AFC.
Blake Griffin rule.
Do they
It's one.
They just
rookie
have.
of the year.
They just
I thought
have
it was-
one in
it's
the
only
NFL.
one.
Oh,
They don't do it like baseball.
I thought it
That's
was
stupid
AFC
nonsense.
and NFC rookie of the year.
I don't think so.
No.
But is there offensive and defensive?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But not for AFC and NFC.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ken Walker, he's been dominating. And the reason why I like him is he's playing the Cardinals. I already mentioned that they don't have the best defense because we're taking Geno. And Ken Walker played them just 2 weeks ago and he gashed them for 97 yards. And since taking over, when Rashad Penny went down, he's averaging over 100 yards a game.
Oh wow.
He missed this last week, and I think this will be a nice bounce back spot for him.
Yeah.
PFF has him at 84.1 yards this week, second most in the league behind Derrick Henry. So I think they see that he's up and coming riser here. Like we got to get on the train before it gets off the tracks.
No, definitely. Ken Walker is probably, I mean, for keeper leagues, pretty good keeper value. But in terms of this bet, like 78.5, it seems like he's just going to blow this out of the water. I think they're going to beat the Cardinals too.
I think it's going to be a points bonanza. It's the highest total this week.
Right.
And when they played 2 weeks ago, it was kind of lower scoring.
I was going to bet that game, but then I was thinking like it's kind of a hard game to judge. Like Cardinals now, right?
Yeah.
Cardinals with D-Hop now, and like the Seahawks really haven't changed much since the beginning of the year. Like I don't think they've gotten better or worse.
They've gotten better because Ken Walker's playing.
Well, right, but Penny was playing really well when he was the back.
That's true.
It's just I think the Seahawks have been good since week 1 and have been playing consistently, and I think the Cardinals have gotten better. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in that game. But I do like Ken Walker for this over 78.5.
I mean, it's more just the last time they played, it was boring. So I think it's going to be crazy this time.
Yeah.
It's hard to play 2 really similar games.
Yeah. I mean, that's the Colts.
Especially in the division.
Yeah. They got blown out at Jacksonville and then won a very, very, very close game at home.
Yeah, but those are like
two
totally
different games.
Exactly.
Right. So Miles Sanders is the next one. You have him at over 79.5 this week, which I love.
Yeah.
The Texans got torched by Henry.
They get torched by everyone. I mean, there's a theme here with the running backs. The Texans and the Bears every week, just lock them in.
Yeah.
Whoever is running against those teams, I'm going to be betting on them to hit their rushing over. Really, the only thing stopping me from making Miles Sanders a hammer play is that the Eagles just have a lot of backs that they like to get involved.
Like Gainwell.
Yeah, and or even Boston Scott, and they just could be winning by a lot. Last week, they didn't play the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
So that's really kind of my only concern here. But other than that, he's averaging 80.4 yards per game anyways. PFF actually has him at only 75.9, but I don't know. I still like him to get around 80 plus yards. If they're winning, he should be getting, 15 to 20 carries. I'd like to see him turn that into 80 plus yards against a terrible Texans defense.
Yeah, I mean, he should be able to do it. I mean, as you said, the defense is abysmal.
It's horrible.
So it's pretty simple.
It's also Thursday night football, so I don't know. I don't know. The primetime games are always so weird. We've talked about that a lot, but it always I don't know what can happen.
Normal game, any primetime game this year.
Yeah.
No, there has not. So now for the receiving yard strapping, because we have a number of receiving yard.
We'll go hot and heavy here, and hot and heavy and quick.
Hot, heavy, and quick. So we've got 7 receiving props for you.
Yeah.
Including the hammer play of the day. So do you want to start with the hammer play? How do you want to? How do you want to tackle this? No. You want to tackle this like the Patriots defense, who's bad at tackling, who's good at tackling.
Let's just go in order.
Yeah. Let's just go in order. T. Higgins over TBD yards.
Yeah, so they didn't have a line for him. I don't know why there was no Bengals lines, but this is really the only Bengal I'm interested in this week. He didn't really get kind of the increase in volume we were thinking he was going to get with Jamar out, and I think the Bengals are going to be that was a mistake.
Yeah, I mean, he's a really good receiver.
Because when they chucked it up to him, he made that insane catch and walked into the end zone. I really do think that he's going to see 10-plus targets this week and could challenge for 100-plus yards.
Yeah.
I don't really think the Panthers – J.C. Horn is good, but, he can still, just jump over him, honestly. And last – PFF has him projected at 86.9 yards. So, really, I'd take his line up to anywhere 70 to 75.
All right. So, 70 to 75, you can lock that in. Another lock – this week, probably your hammer play. We have it second here in the list, so we're not doing any silliness skipping to the hammer play here, but the hammer play of the day. Mike, 70.5.
Yeah, I mean, this was a theme. He was a hammer play last week. He had delivered easily.
We were 2-0 last week on hammer plays.
He delivered easily. This makes literally no sense to me. He has 70-plus yards in 5 out of the 7 games this year. he's playing a pretty weak Rams secondary.
Right.
Like, he might get some Jalen Ramsey, but like, I don't know Jalen Ramsey is going to shadow him or anything like that. And he still has been like dominating the last 2 weeks, even though people like it seems like he's playing bad. Like, he's had 96 and 123 yards, and he's had the potential for a lot more. His air yards are 222 and 184.
Oh wow!
So he's missed out on.
I
those
thought we
big
bailed
plays.
on air yards.
I don't love the air yards, but like what I'm seeing here is that Mike Evans has had the potential to have 2 massive games, and he's had 2 pretty good games.
Well, for the drop of 2 weeks ago was his fault.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, usually he's going to catch that.
Right.
And even without catching that, he's still hitting his overs.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't even need him to do better like he's usually going to do. I just need him to keep playing as well as he has.
Right.
And him and Brady, like, have still kind of been struggling to click. I think that this mini buy is going to allow them to kind of, get back on track, get on the same page. PFF has him at 84.4. I think he's blowing 70.5 out of the water.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
probably. I mean, especially because you took Brady's over passing yards.
Oh,
too.
yeah.
So now we got DK Metcalf next on the list.
Yeah, so DK almost gets a major injury, somehow comes back to play the next week. And he still looked pretty good last week. He had 55 yards, but he only played 63% of the snaps. Think he's going to play more this week. He's averaging 66 yards per game, and if you exclude the game where he left with an injury.
Right.
So in a regular week, he's hitting this over. Last week, he still had 55 yards, but he left a lot of yards out there. He didn't catch 4 of his targets. So I think this week, 1 week healthier, playing not the best Cardinals defense, potentially a little shootout action, a little bit of shootout action. I like DK to hit his over.
DK Metcalf, he's been pretty consistent so far this year, other than the weeks where he gets banged up and has to leave the field. So pretty solid pick there from DK. Somebody that's showed us something for the first time last week, Kyle Pitts.
Yeah, so this feels like an ultimate trap. He rope-a-doped us, had the horrible week, then the good week. I literally have no idea what's going on with him. But I like to hope that Arthur Smith has the same set of eyeballs that I do.
Yeah.
And he saw that he looked good last week when he gave him the ball. The Chargers' pass defense, specifically their tight end defense, is not super good. They've had a ton of injuries. So even with the bye, I don't think their defense is going to look as good as it did at the start of the year.
Right.
And Pitts had his highest snap share since week 2. So at least he's playing. When he plays, he's getting the ball because he's good.
Right. He's probably the best receiver on the team because the best receiver on the team was suspended for gambling and then traded to the Jaguars.
Well, Drake London's good, but Pitts is
probably better than London.
Yeah. And so PFF has him at 61.8 yards, just 20 over his line. I don't know if he's going to get 61 yards, but I like to think, he's been getting pretty consistent targets. He's more involved in the offense.
Right.
I'm ready to believe. Don't hurt me, Kyle.
So this next guy on the list really, really had an interesting end of the game.
DJ Moore roller coaster.
DJ Moore takes his helmet off at the end of the game. Kicker moves back 15 yards, kicks a 47-yard field goal for the tie. For the win
and
misses it. Then same kicker has a kick in overtime for the win, misses it. I don't know how that guy still has a job.
Yeah, I'm kind of stunned by that. But was that the guy? Is that the Doink?
No, that's Cody Parkey.
Cody Parkey. Yeah.
That guy lives in infamy.
Yeah. But yeah, DJ Moore got really vindicated by that kicker. That kicker saved him. Right. Because all the attention's on the kicker instead of DJ Moore.
If you miss the kick in the overtime, you can redeem yourself, but you can't miss both kicks.
No, you can't miss both kicks. But DJ Moore, I still think, he is a little upset that he did that. He's going to want to prove that, he's going to back up his good level of play. And lucky for him, he gets this Bengals defense that got kind of torched by the Browns.
Can I also say that Terry McLaurin took his helmet off and wasn't flagged?
It's because he was in Indy. He's from Indy.
Okay, Terry McLaurin's running around the field in Indianapolis, all right, before the extra point.
Yeah. And
they didn't flag him for anything. And, of course, the Colts go down and lose by 1.
It's interesting. The officiating is interesting, to say the least.
Yeah, officiating has been – don't even get me started. I was just watching the Tuck Rule document, the 30 for 30 earlier.
You don't want to look at that.
it made me more confused about everything that happened.
It doesn't make any sense. But what does make sense is that DJ Moore has had 69 yards and 152 yards in the last 2 games.
Yeah.
So he's been playing better. He's gotten 10 and 11 targets. The Panthers, they've got a lot more juice than people thought after firing Matt Rule.
Right.
And PFF has him projected at 82 yards. So really smoking this.
So that's a pretty easy play there, especially with the projection.
And I honestly would like this as a hammer play, but he did too well last week.
Yeah, it's hard to – it's like, is Kamara going to put up another massive fantasy day this week? Like, probably not.
But he's still probably played well.
Like 14 to 18.
And that's where, like, with DJ Moore, that's why I'm okay with hitting this line. Just because 57.5 is so low.
Right.
If this was like 70, I would probably be staying away.
Yeah, that's valid. I mean, he's getting the targets to hit this after the catch, too.
Exactly.
So moving on to another electrifying receiver, Devonta Smith, former Heisman, over 52.5. It's another low total.
Yeah, and that's what kind of stuck out to me. And so I looked into the stats a little bit, and A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith and really Dallas Goedert all get kind of between 5 and 8 targets a game. And so they kind of just take turns having good games usually. Right. Just whoever kind of, breaks out. And A.J. Brown just happened to catch 3 go routes last week. The Steelers actually could not defend it. And I think Devonta Smith, he wants to kind of prove that he's on a similar-ish level to A.J. I know he's not as good, but, he's a Heisman winner. This guy's good. He can still dominate. And it's not like he's a slouch.
It's only his second year in the league, too.
Yeah, and so he's been averaging 60 yards per game. He's still getting the same level of targets, and he's just been kind of having 2 back-to-back, lower performances.
Right.
I like him to bounce back here. PFF has him at 67.7 yards. I think that's a pretty realistic number for him. 5 catches, 65 yards. That hits this easily.
Right.
And that's a pretty average game for him.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think, A.J. Brown, massive game. He might come back down to earth a little bit. Let's sprinkle a little Devonta Smith,
Yeah. So the next guy, big deep ball threat here.
Mm-hmm.
Saw 2 against the Steelers. Gabe Davis over 50.5.
He's a favorite for me. And really, anytime he has a bad game, I kind of like him the next week.
Yeah.
Because he gets the exact same targets every week in the offense. He's getting the deep shots, about 5 to 7 of them a game. And the Jets defense is good this year. So that is a kind of a tough matchup for them. But I think Sauce Gardner is going to stay on Stephon Diggs most of the game.
Yeah.
So I like to see Gabe Davis kind of getting a little bit more free run. And he's averaging 69.7 yards per game. So basically just needs to catch 1 deep ball and he's hitting this.
Yeah.
And last week he only caught 2 passes, but he had 7 targets. So if he's catching 5 passes like he usually does, he's smashing this.
Yeah, and I think he the deep ball threat is ridiculous because he can have this in 1 catch.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I'm saying. It's not crazy for him to have a week where he only catches 2 out of 7, but he's usually catching 4 or 5 out of 7,
right?
If not more. And so PFF has him at 68.4. He's in a bit of a smash spot here. If he was playing a worse defense, this would be a complete hammer play for me.
Yeah.
The Jets were the only thing that kept me away from them. Just because they're
somehow the Jets.
Their defense has been good.
Yeah, do you think is Sauce going to be blanketed on Diggs?
I don't know.
Nah, that'll be tough. That'll be fun to see though.
But I think that's going to be a good matchup.
Yeah.
But Saul is a good defensive coach. He
right,
has
so
the
who do you think
playing
has
well.
the edge though? Obviously Diggs.
Yeah. But I mean,
people are
Sauce
saying
is
Sauce
good.
is a top 5 corner.
I don't think that's crazy to say. He has great the way when you watch him play. He plays like a veteran. The sort of plays he's making, you don't expect a rookie to know how to do that.
Or not biting on certain fakes and that stuff. So then
he's a true lockdown guy.
Yeah. So
he's their next Darrell.
Oh wow!
Sauce Island.
Lost in the sauce.
Yeah.
So now we have one of our favorite picks to throw an interception. It was Carson Wentz until he got hurt.
Now it's a new pick.
Now we've got Kenny Pickett to throw a Pickett.
And it happened last week.
Yeah.
We had to wait a long time, and we had to endure a lot of sacks, a couple fumbles, a lot of bad offense from the Steelers. And then finally, in the 4th quarter, he gave us a gift with the interception.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, let's just keep riding it. I mean, this kid loves throwing picks. It's his job. He has a pick in 4 out of 5 games.
It's almost like his name has Pickett.
Yeah, he has 8 picks through 5 weeks, and he didn't even play fully.
Yeah.
In that first game.
Right, and he threw, but those interceptions weren't his fault in the first game. Like
he still threw.
It looked to me like he was just throwing a jump ball
I'm
to
not
a
saying
6'4" receiver.
I'm not saying they're his fault or not.
He's still
I'm just saying
throwing.
he does
On the
throw
stat
the
sheet.
ball and they end up on the
On
stat
the
sheet
stat
as
sheet.
interceptions.
Yeah, so
If he had played the whole season, he could have competed for 30-30.
Yeah.
I
I don't know. I don't think he has the touchdowns for it.
Really?
30 for
Yeah.
30.
He had like 5 touchdowns.
He definitely could have gotten 30 interceptions.
Jameis
in
Winston, there
17
needs
games.
to be a 30 for 30 made on Winston's 30 and 30.
It's got
Just not just that, his whole career.
yeah.
He's one of the craziest players ever.
Yes.
When
All right, so moving on, we got to score a touchdown. 3 of these basically need no explanation. So
Yeah.
we'll start with the one that does. Travis Etienne over a half of a touchdown.
Yeah, and honestly, this one doesn't need much of an explanation either. We watched what Kamara did to the Raiders last week.
Mhm.
When I watch ETN, I feel like I'm watching Kamara. He plays very similarly to me, like the way that they run as if they're jogging, but they're just still faster than everyone.
Right.
It's very similar. And the way that they both can catch the ball. And ETN has really looked good since he's
Yes.
got the last 2 weeks when he's been like the main guy. He really does seem like he's kind of a stud. And he's gotten touchdowns in back-to-back games after not having one in the first 6 weeks.
Right.
So I liked him to just
And
kind
they
of
traded James Robinson.
yeah. So he has no competition for touches,
Right.
Jermichael Hasty.
and basically,
Oh, stop it.
I think he's basically just like overdue for a lot of touchdowns, and now he's going to cash in on all of them.
Yeah,
Because he leads the offense, he's getting those 20-25 touches a game.
absolutely.
So this next pick literally needs no explanation. So
But
I
it
don't
actually
think-
does this week.
He's kind of hurt, but
Yeah.
still.
But it doesn't. But it does. But it doesn't.
So Cooper Kupp, I mean, it's a weekly bet. He scores literally every week. It's insane. But if he doesn't play or is like actually severely limited, we're gonna go to Allen Robinson for this bet
Interesting.
because he actually he gets an insane amount of red zone targets. They feed this guy the ball in the red zone. Like he actually, I know I was saying it before the season, and he hasn't had the optimal season, I would say. But I do think that Allen Robinson's going to maybe turn it around a little bit. Second half of the
you
season.
like A-Rob to have a
He's
Nice
been
little
looking
bounce
better
back.
the last 2 games. And, he also – the bye. The bye. I mean, he's getting healthy over the bye. But basically, Cooper Kupp, lock that in. If he's really hurt, like seriously doubtful, like lock in Allen Robinson.
Yeah, I'm with that.
Yeah.
All right. So, do these need an explanation?
Oh, yeah.
This is my lock of the week.
Tyreek Hill.
Touchdown.
Okay. But this is what's interesting about Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill has the most targets, catches, and yards in the NFL for the receiver position. But guess how many touchdowns he has?
2.
Only 2. And they both came in week 2.
2.
So it's now week 9.
Tua. It's the quarterback.
Yeah. Tua is the quarterback, and it is week 9. And he is just getting too much volume to not break one of these.
Yeah, I mean, but it seems like Waddle's getting all the targets down there.
True, but
I
I
know,
think
but-
he's gonna break one of these long runs.
Just
He's
like
gonna run right in.
score a touchdown.
Yeah.
Right.
Like I'm just saying, like when you're getting 10 plus targets a game, like you should just like accidentally score a touchdown over this amount of time,
Yeah, that's fair. That's totally fair.
especially when you're Tyreek Hill. And that's honestly a really similar thought process to this next bet as well.
Yeah, Justin Jefferson.
He hasn't scored since week 1.
I think he's due. I think that's the only explanation. He's just due. He's one of these players.
They're both
He's
just
gonna-
like
he gets red zone
Look,
targets.
I'm playing
he's
both
due.
uh,
of these guys in fantasy this week.
so they're
for-
definitely both going to
So
score.
for my sake, I hope they don't.
Yeah,
But
They probably
they're going to.
yeah,
They're just going to. It sucks, but they're going to.
yeah.
All right.
So next we got the shootout.
The shootout parlay, and it was close last week. It was Jamal Williams and Tyreek Hill.
If you
I
had
should've
just
waddled
done
back to
Waddle,
I could have done just double Jamal
Well, here's the
Williams, and I
thing,
could have
though.
gone DeAndre
I only
Swift too.
think-
Everyone else scored.
I only think the Dolphins target Waddle in the red zone because everyone just wants to see the Waddle.
I do
think
like
you're
to
right.
see the waddle.
Like
It's
I don't
nice.
think it has anything to do with like his.
And Gesicki's a red zone threat. He gobbles
He,
up
he
all
does
the
the
touchdowns.
skedaddle. He does
Yeah.
the
That's
skedaddle.
like
He
Yeah.
scores.
But the shootout parlay this week, we've got we've talked at length about the Seahawks and Cardinals and the player props at this point, but they have a total. They're the only total over 50, and D-Hop and Ken Walker are the two straws that stir these two drinks, I would say, if you know what I'm saying. I think the Cardinals, they're going to continue what they've been doing the last 2 weeks, and that's feeding D-Hop. He has a red zone target in both games. He scored a touchdown last week. I like to see him continue, maybe even get a big play in there or something like that.
Right.
Ken Walker, touchdown all 4 games where he's been playing.
Yeah.
He's a machine.
Yeah.
And last week I thought he wasn't going to score, and then he had that. Did you see his run?
Yeah, he was really good.
He's a beast.
So I like the shootout TD parlay to hit. So it's pretty simple. So now we're going to move on to name that Hall of Famer.
It's actually a running back.
Oh, wow.
Oh, it's actually a running back. So another difficulty here, but whatever. We just changed the Q to an R out
Q
here.
to an R, and we're good.
Q to an R.
So let's go ahead and pull up the list.
So now we got the name that Hall of Famer.
Yeah, so player one of my favorite stats is Super Bowl champion, and he's a good Pro Bowl.
Walter Payton, man of the year.
She buried the lead.
Wow, that's quite the accomplishment.
Player 2 has a Heisman.
Look at all the awards for player 2.
Player 2 no awards, but he's got a Heisman.
So that kind of narrows it down.
Rookie of the year.
I think I know who player 2
and that
is.
should be a player of the year. That's my bad for player 3. Pretty solid careers all around.
Yeah. These are all pretty good players here. I mean, 10,000, 8,000, 13,000 yards.
A lot of touchdowns.
So give us some errors out here. Give us some errors.
Okay, so player 2 is active. Player 1.
There's player 2, Mark Ingram.
Mark Ingram is the player.
Very nice.
That was easy. I mean, the Heisman.
Mark
And
Ingram. I didn't expect Mark Ingram to be like that good. Like it feels like he's got some pretty good numbers.
Yeah. I mean, 4.5 yards a carry is actually good.
He had some glory years. That number's going down though.
So player 1, he retired. I want to say like 2007 range.
Edge.
And no, not Edge. It's not him. Unfortunately, I don't think he won a championship.
He did.
Yeah.
2006, right?
No, I don't think he was on that.
He wasn't on that.
It was
team.
Joseph Adai.
Oh.
Wow. Wow.
But he's on a storied franchise. They only got one though. Pretty good running back.
Storied franchise that only got one. Doesn't seem that storied.
I mean, they've been storied throughout their career. Player 3 was on a pretty good franchise, big market. Had a book that I had.
A
that was
book?
electric.
Oh, is that
Tiki
Terrell?
Barber?
Is that
Tiki Barber.
that player?
I had the same
Yeah,
book
his brother.
when I was little. When I was in elementary school.
That book was awesome.
So player 3, we got Tiki Barber.
Is
Player 2, we got Mark Ingram.
this the guy on the then they were the Redskins?
No.
That's not a
Story franchise. It's not a story franchise.
Okay.
So
Think of like 5+ Super Bowls.
the Steelers.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the bus.
Yeah, it's the most.
Oh,
So that's all in favor.
Dang, he had 13,000 yards in his career.
Yeah, I mean that's a
Pretty
crazy
solid.
amount of yards. But it's kind of crazy that these guys are like
3.9. He was just getting carry after carry.
like Mark Ingram only has 19 less touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean, I think this week was pretty good. We got these
Yeah.
pretty quickly. So
Yeah.
That was a good
the
one.
Hall of Famers, the Bus Hall of Famer, Mark Ingram, not a future Hall of Famer.
No.
He could
Solid
be.
numbers though.
Heisman.
Pretty solid. He did win that Heisman. So that's all we got.
Yeah, I think that's a wrap.
So I think we did interesting work today.
Yeah,
Good job.
yeah.
All
I think
right.
there was we got off the rails a little bit, but I think that was good.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
Maybe the
Yeah.
Colts. Hopefully the Colts can get some wins.
I
going.
don't. I think it's time to tank.
Really.
Get the quarterback of the future.
At
I don't
least
even
get rid
think-
of Reich.
I don't
What
even
is he
think- I don't even
doing?
think
He's an
we will-
idiot.
Look, we could actively try to not tank, and we will still lose games. So we could just try to win still.
Yeah, I think if we tried to lose, we might accidentally win.
That's probably
Like the
what's gonna
Seahawks.
happen. Exactly.
That's what
I
they
don't think
did.
Ellinger is. I don't think we're quite that good.
No.
Who knows?
All right.
Smell you.
Peace.